guys, today we're going to address getting in a better front rack position. This is going to help in those front squats as well as any type of clean barbell movement. So let's talk about this front rack position first. Most people that are struggling to get in that front rack look similar to this position versus getting those elbows up and keeping that core nice and tight. One of the main limiting factors here is tricep tightness. So we're going to address how to work through that, as well as the lat and posterior shoulder and this forearm and wrist. So some things that you can do at home to correct this positioning. With a lacrosse ball on a hard surface, first thing we're going to do is work through that forearm, addressing any tightness that you might be feeling in the wrist in that position. So for about a minute to a minute and a half, we can roll anywhere through that forearm. If you would like to add a little bit more pressure, you can add that other hand on top. We're addressing this top portion of the forearm. We want to avoid going in the bottom portion near the wrist because really we're just going to be rolling over more bones and things attaching in versus getting the muscle in the top portion of that forearm. Again, about a minute to a minute and a half, trying to loosen up those forearms. Next thing is the tricep. So same thing on a hard surface at home for about a minute to a minute and a half, rolling through those triceps. In either of these movements, if you're finding a really tight, tender spot somewhere, you could even just let it sit and hold and add pressure to try to let that muscle relax. You would do the same thing on that other side. These exercises that we're going over today, you can do these 2 to 3 times a day if you're really wanting to be aggressive on getting that better front rack position. Next thing we're going to do is addressing that posterior shoulder and lat insertion point. So this lacrosse ball is going to go in the back of the shoulder towards the top of the lat. We're trying to find wherever this feels more tender for you. With this movement, you can, again, just let it sit and hold and add pressure if you find that really tight spot, or moving it around. Another option for this movement is bringing the elbow out to the side, and then you're going to passively move your hand through a range of motion. So you can even use that other hand to assist a little bit if you would like to make that a little bit more intense. You should feel a stretching, pulling where that lacrosse ball is sitting. Same thing, about a minute to a minute and a half. You can repeat this exercise multiple times a day as well. Let's move to stretching through this area. So stretching through here, one thing we can do is up against a wall, or if you have a band, you can go into this position with a band as well. Main thing on this exercise is to keep the core tight, and we're trying to sink down to where we're feeling a stretch through that same area that we were working through with that lacrosse ball. If all we're doing is arching the core, we're just moving at our hips, and we're not working any lengthening of these muscles, versus when that core is tight, we're able to feel that stretch a little bit more. With this stretch, I would try to hold for about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. The longer we're holding the stretch, the more of a change we can make to these muscles and tissues. Same thing, repeating this exercise multiple times a day, especially if we're wanting to be aggressive on helping that front rack position. These are great exercises we can do to warm up with any workout that requires a front rack as well. Hopefully this helps you guys out.